Hello, BCC Barons. This is Brian Baskowski with another tech tip. And I've heard that there are some students out there that, as they hide behind their black boxes on their Zoom calls or are left alone to do their work on their laptops without you circulating through the classroom, that they're not turning in work that's their own. They are copying and pasting their hearts out and then submitting that and wanting to get full credit. BCC has always had a subscription to Turnitin.com since I've been there. This is year 13 for me. But we've never had something that made your life easier within Canvas. And just last Wednesday, we finally got that activated for you. And so that is what today's tech tip is about, is using something called Turnitin.com's Plagiarism Framework. And hopefully this makes your lives easier. It does have one major limitation that I'm going to share with you, but hopefully it makes your life easier and we'll have even more users using Turnitin.com. So let's talk about the different options. And there are options. You can do either of these if you want to check for plagiarism. The old way of doing it is just using Turnitin.com itself, which we pay something like $8,000 for. And that is initiated by you as a teacher logging into Turnitin.com itself. And for you to log in, I have to create an account for you. So if you're an existing teacher, most of you already have an account. But if you are new to BCC or if you've never used Turn.com and you want to use it now, especially in distance learning, all you have to do is email me and I will set you up with an account. And once you get logged in, then you create a course. And most teachers actually create a different course per period. It makes it a lot more manageable in terms of checking through and sorting through who has turned it in and who hasn't, and organizing them by periods. And then under each course, you can create an assignment. One nice thing is that you can put the same assignment into multiple courses. So if you have 4 sections of English 9, you can actually indicate when you're setting up just the first time with that assignment to go into the other 3 Turnitin.com courses for those periods. Okay. Now, when it comes to students actually create their own accounts, and they should use their .NET accounts because that's probably where their work is going to be. And when they create their username, which is going to be their email address and their password, then they have to join a course. And you would give them a class ID and a course password that was set up when you actually created the course itself. And once they do that, they'll be logged in, and every time you have an assignment, it would show up there and they would log in. The major benefit of Turn.com itself, the old method, is that it gives you the most file types and methods of having something checked for plagiarism. So you can turn a PDF, you can turn a Word doc, you can even copy and paste text. But the major benefit of Turn.com versus Turn.com's plagiarism framework is that, yes, you can submit a Google Doc. I even had my own son, my almost 11-year-old son, go through this process, and I created assignments for him. He was able to submit a Google Doc through Turnitin.com itself, but he couldn't do it on Plagiarism Framework. But let's talk about Plagiarism Framework so you can see what its benefits are. And one thing that makes it a benefit is that it is initiated simply when you create an assignment within Canvas. So basically, almost any assignment would be able to become something that you check for plagiarism. And this also means that you never have to log into Turnitin.com. You as a teacher don't have to. Your students don't have to. So that is a major time saver right there. When you are setting it up as a Canvas assignment, you have to choose a particular submission type, and that is online. You can't, unfortunately, use external tools. So in other words, you can't submit any Google Docs, at least directly. And I'm going to give you a workaround in a little bit. But once you choose online, you then have to figure out how they would submit it online. You can put a check next to text entry and or file uploads. Most likely, though, you're only going to put a check next to file uploads, and that's because remember what you're doing here is you're setting up a a Canvas assignment, which means you're going to have to grade it. And if you just do text entry, you're going to be looking at a lot of unformatted text, which would be a nightmare to grade. So you probably are only going to choose file uploads. And from there, what will pop up is a new option under Google, Canvas within the assignment category is plagiarism review. It only pops up once you choose online and either text entry and or file uploads. And once you set this up and a student is ready to turn this in, what they will have to do is go into their Google Doc, click on File, choose Download As, and then they're either going to choose a .docx or a PDF file, and then they'll go into Canvas and they'll upload that file type. So that is a major limitation. It's an extra step. They would have to download a file and then upload it, and it can't be turned in directly as a Google Doc. But think about all of the other steps you are saving from here, where you would have to set up a course. The kids would still have to log in and then submit their Google Doc. Now, is there a workaround? Yes, there is. And of course, I have this out of order. And I'm not going to record this again, so I'm just going to jump and I'm going to show you. So this is what I think should work. Let's say you still want to use the Google Doc LTI or the cloud assignment, largely because you want a copy assigned to each individual student. And especially if you've got some type of template or worksheet or something like that for that. But you also want it to be turned in through Plagiarism Framework. Well, what I think you can do successfully is the first step would be to create that Canvas assignment using either LTI or cloud assignment, but you're not going to grade it. You're either going to give it a 0 point total or you're going to choose from the drop-down menu not grade it. So this will create it for them, but you won't actually use this one to grade. Then you will have a separate assignment under your course, and you're going to create that Canvas assignment, but this one you are going to grade, and you're going to set up the plagiarism framework. And then it'll be basically 2 separate assignments, one that's not graded, one that is graded, and then you'll get hopefully the best of both worlds doing it. But let me show you first how you would do that as a teacher. So right now, I'm logged in to Mara Koplowitz's class. She uses Turnitin.com with her English students a lot. And so I'm in the create a new assignment thing. And notice right now I have online. And right now I have file uploads checked. But if I uncheck file uploads and I just leave it online, you'll see that there's nothing in here related to plagiarism. But as soon as I check file uploads, this new thing appears, plagiarism review. Now for you, it's probably automatically going to come up as none. And then all you would choose is Turnitin BCC plagiarism. And what it's doing right now is it's automatically logging into Turnitin.com for you. You don't need to have an email address and a password, and your students won't need to either. And then you can make some choices. Most people choose to put it into the repository, which basically means if you submit if the student submits it, then every student afterwards, whether it's in a few minutes from that submission or years from now, it's going to be checked against it, and it's going to come up as a match or not as a match. Now, what you may want to do if you're trying to use this more as a teaching tool, you could set it up to do not store the submitted papers. In this case, then it won't come up as a match. So if a kid resubmits an assignment, then it won't match all the things that weren't plagiarized for it. But most of the time, you're going to probably put it into the repository. You want to keep all these things selected. This is what we pay for. the previous years of student submissions, website content. It will search for, as well as magazines and publications and things like that. These are kind of up to you. It's up to you if you want to exclude bibliographic materials. I usually do. I personally never exclude quoted materials, because if I see that there's a match, I want to go and hope that it's a match because the kid is quoting or they're not. It also becomes a visual cue to me if a kid is just quoting everything, which means that they're not analyzing it. And that is something that I can give them visual feedback on, and say, look, Turnitin.com thinks you plagiarize this because you're quoting so much. 76% of your paper are quotes. Where's your analysis? Where's your own thoughts? So that's why I personally don't exclude quoted materials. And then you have another option, and this comes down to your personal philosophy on this. I personally would allow them to see it immediately, because I look at this more as a teaching tool. But if you don't want them to see it, you want them to live in suspense. In other words, because you're looking at this as more of a gotcha type of thing, you can put it to never, or you can do it after the assignment has been graded for them to look at it. But if you are truly looking at this as a teaching tool, I would let them see it immediately, and I would probably not set it into the repository, and I would leave it as unlimited attempts. But you can play around with this. There's way more options that than we have time or you care to think about. But so that is how you would actually set this up. Now, let's say I save this assignment and now students start submitting. What would it look like to you? So this is where this picture that I already gave you a sneak peek of, whenever I can't do something myself, I try to steal and plagiarize from Justine Lessar. You probably have learned that she is a very reliable source and worth stealing as much as you can from. But basically, I don't have students, I don't have grades. So she did a much shorter video than this, where she shows you what it looks like on your end. I try to cut off all of the names so to preserve for privacy, but here's her first assignment. She tested this out for me, and she basically had questions that kids had to answer at the end of a module, and then they had to submit their answers. And green means good. It means it's a low percentage of copying and pasting. Blue means it didn't recognize it. So what she actually had was some kids who hand wrote their submissions, took a picture and then submitted that. And because it can't look for text in the picture, it came up as blue, saying, I don't know what this is. But that was good enough to Justine that they probably weren't plagiarizing if they were handwriting their answer. So it kind of depends on the assignment as to whether or not that's a problem or not a problem. But yellow jumped out and like, this is intermediate. What does this mean? And so she clicked on this icon right here, and that loaded this. And this is a student's paper with all of the names hidden, and it came up with a 40% match. So Justine's like stressing out, like, I have a big old cheater here. And it looks like, she cheated from another student paper submitted at Bethesda Chevy Chase High School. So she's just copying another friend's work, maybe. And then she looked a little bit closer. And here it is, color-coded. It shows in this like burgundy color, same color as over here. It highlights it for it. So here's source one, source one, source one. And what is happening? It's the questions. And so another student had done the same thing. They had taken Justine's questions, put them first, and then the answers right underneath of it. Or there might be a few keywords that are coming up as matches for it. And when Justine looked at this much closer, she realized that it actually wasn't a problem. There is 4% from PowerShow here, but notice this is the second source right here, and it's really just a few groups of words that are very similar. And so once Justine clicked on this, she was not worried, and the student was not thrown out of BCC High School for plagiarizing. Now, the last thing I want to show you is if you have an assignment that you've created previously this semester where you had a fear that either some or all of your or many of your students have plagiarized. Yes, there is a way for you to have those very quickly submitted. So basically, what you would do is you would go into Canvas, you would click on the assignment, and then you would change the submission type to online. And yes, even if the kids have already submitted everything, you can change it to online. And then the plagiarism review will come up as an option. And then what you would do, and you would save that assignment, then what you do is you would load those assignments in SpeedGrader. So even if you had previously submitted, even graded and given feedback to a kid, you can go into SpeedGrader and this will show up now. And it's a button that says resubmit to Turnitin BCC plagiarism. And so if you had 67 kids and you want to check all 67 kids, all you do is go through SpeedGrader, hit the resubmit, click on the next one, hit resubmit, all the way until all 67 are resubmitted. It would take a few minutes for the plagiarism checks to go, but then you would go back to your Canvas gradebook and you would see the icon next to the score, and it would show you either as a match or green, yellow, or red is an option, as well as blue, and then you can kind of go from there. So yes, you can resubmit things even if to Turner.com, even if you've already given grades to students. So that's it. Hopefully that is something new to you that you are looking forward to using. If you have any questions on either product, whether it's Turner.com the old way or Plagiarism Framework the new way, just reach out to me and I'll try to help you as always. Take care.